How's it going, everyone? Welcome back. Hope everyone's having a lovely day. The Reds today reportedly hiring former Cleveland Guardian, former Boston Red Sox manager, Terri Francona. And I tell you what, I love this signing. Typically, I'm always the type of person like, why would you hire a manager that's been fired a couple of times? I've just never liked it because it's like, obviously another team's fired this guy for a reason. Now, there is times where, a guy just has his time and it's like, well, he's been here a little more. The expectations were higher than what they should have been here. Prime example, Dusty Baker. Maybe this is why I'm drawing myself back, right? We was like, oh, it's Dusty's fault that this team's not doing better than what it is. We was micromanaging his decisions in the playoffs, blowing 2-0 leads. Not that anybody remembers that, right? Giants might have won the World Series that season. Anyway, right? You go back and look at that and say, hey, oh, okay, well, Dusty's team's been sick since then. Anywhere he goes, he's winning. Won a World Series. The Reds, meanwhile, have not been relevant since Dusty Baker walked out the door, unfortunately, when it comes to being any sort of playoff contender or threat in a full 162-game season. You bring in Terri Francona, and I love this pick because you look at the Cleveland Guardians. They're very much not saying it's the best of things. A lot of Reds fans are bringing it up. It's not like you want to model your team after the Guardians either. They won a World Series in, dang near a century, but they're very similar built in the regards where they don't pay players. It doesn't happen. It's so bad that even the Reds managed to get a player off of them in Trevor Bauer. Yeah, it's a year in and year out thing for the Guardians where they trade away a star pitcher, a stud pitcher, a good player, or whatever. It's just what they do. They don't pay anybody. They haven't, with the exception, got to watch what we say, Jose Ramirez, kind of breaking the bank there. But besides, we do not see it. You remember the pitchers this team has had. And to look at this and say, hey, okay, that means this team is doing something similar to the Reds. They're bringing in young guys. They're planning on developing, recruiting, drafting, whatever, bringing these guys in to the big leagues, using the 6 years on that entry-level deal and then out the door. And signing maybe, some bits and pieces here and there, some lower expense players, adding some complementary players to the baseball team. That's what happens. So for the Reds, you say, hey, all right, so how'd Francona do? Well, it has been 20 years since Terri Francona's baseball team has finished worse than third place in a division. Take that as you will. First place in a division just a couple seasons ago for the Cleveland Guardians. First place team with, hey, guys like Ahmed Rosario batting .298. It's not too shabby. Not too shabby at all. So he is a guy that it does feel like he can get the most out of some of his players. And more importantly, again, keeps his teams relevant. He's got a .538 win percentage in his entire career. And just, again, touching what we were saying is, hey, if Cleveland's known for developing these guys, playing these youngsters, and Francona's known for winning baseball games with that record, that means he's helping grow, he's helping develop, he's helping instill confidence, getting the most out of these young guys consistently. And that was our number one need entering this offseason. We talked about, what was it, Joe Madden? I always mix it up. I don't know what it is. Joe Madden. How good of a manager he was with the young players. He got the most out of a young baseball team. The Reds, that's what the Reds need more than anything right now. We're getting right in the midst of it. There's no time for trial and error for a young guy. Sorry. I love me a young, fresh mind, giving them the potential to grow, be around your team for a long time. But there just isn't time for that because you have all these young guys ready to produce right now. Down year for a lot of them. Injuries that you couldn't stop from a lot of them, of course. But you need to get the most out of these guys now because the time's ticking. You go a couple years into their careers and all of a sudden you're greatly affecting their morale, their confidence, their development. They for the difference in them potentially being a cornerstone to your team, being a big cog into this team, or a guy that bats .220 and it just fades into the water. You need a manager that can get the most out of these players right now. You need a manager that knows, more importantly, how to get the most out of these players right now. And again, maybe not known for his dynamic offenses. And again, that's kind of a lot to do with the fact that Cleveland just doesn't want to bring in good players. Reds have a lot of good young players right now. One thing that Cleveland does do really well is groom the pitchers, get the most out of their pitchers, something that you want to see on your baseball club, something you want to say, hey, you know what, Terry's done all right in this area. Got to be happy with that. You know, you got a young Lodolo, you got a young Green, Ashcraft, Abbott, Louder. This bullpen, if it can take a step up. I love this pickup for the Cincinnati Reds. I really do. Heck, even 5 of the last 8 seasons in Cleveland, his teams have finished inside the top 3 as far as stolen bases are concerned. And again, you know, that's something I know it's tried and true to a lot of us Reds fans over the years. A very traditional ball fan base here where play some small ball. Get them on, get them over, get them in, you know? So knowing a guy is happy to be aggressive on base pads with some of these youngsters, with guys like Ellie, that you just want him to steal 100 if he can. Pretty big. Nonetheless, we will see what happens. Hoping for nothing but the best here. Love y'all. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.